Welcome back everyone to The Italian Film Buff. Benvenuti, bentornati, bentrovati, dear follower or listener or people who are listening to this podcast. Hello, how are you doing? I'm doing well. Not so well, to be honest, because the last couple of weeks, I'm gonna say the last couple of 3 weeks, almost a month, has been challenging because I'm doing a lot of stuff, but mostly because in Italy we had so many bank holidays in the same span between Easter, then there was a celebration, national celebration for the 25th of April is when we celebrate the liberation of the country from the fascist from the fascist occupation and the regime and everything else. Then there were on the 1st of May is the Workers' Day, so there's a celebration as well. So basically, it has been 3 weeks that is basically holiday constantly. And if you have a kid and the school keep closing, but you have to work as well, has been a minute. I'm tired. Anyway, let's talk about movies because we had a couple of very interesting week. We gotta talk about Sinners, we gotta talk about Ben Stiller, and we gotta talk about movie critics, or at least magazine about movies and variety and how we are framing the industry. So, because what happened before I start to talk about Sinner, I want to talk about this, that it's connected. So there was a tweet by Ben Stiller that became viral. Why became viral? Because Variety they released those articles about the box office weekend, so the box office week in general. So they talk about Sinner, and Ben Stiller shared the following post, the following caption that was a part of the article about Sinners at the box office. So it goes like this. Sinners has amassed 61 million in its global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Bros. Release has a 90 million price tag before global marketing expenses, so profitability remains a ways away. And Ben Stiller captioned this saying, "In what universe does a $60 million opening for an original studio movie warrant this headline?" Well, he has a point. He has a good point, because in the industry, in the way the industry is working for the last 10 years, let's say, but even the last 5 to 6 years, this is an outstanding result. This is a very good result, because we are talking about an original movie, a rated R movie, and we're talking a movie coming from a director that is not like, I don't know, Christopher Nolan, or I don't know, David Fincher, Michael Bay, Zack Snyder, whoever. Those kind of directors that are really polarizing and that they bring many people to the theater. We are not talking that kind of director. We are talking about Ryan Coogler, that is a fair good director. To be honest, I believe the best movie that he has done is probably Sinners, because I think the two Black Panther are not a good, let's say, a good way to tell who Ryan Coogler as a director is. I think in this movie he's probably having the chance to tell the kind of story he wants to tell and to show how good he is as a director. So I think he has a lot to say, but it's not the kind of director that has a name that brings people to the movie theater. So there were many things against this movie. I mean, many odds against this movie. So it's not easy in the actual market. So the way Variety framed this it's annoying. And it's annoying for two reasons, because are the two main reasons that are driving information in this very moment in time and in history. And it's not just about movies, it's about everything. But basically the only two ways that information goes around, it's basically trying to get attention from the audience with two devices: rage bait and basically complaining or distorting stuff in a way that they sounds very negative, and so people can complain and, oh my god, the good old times are gone and now we are in trouble. So this is the way people connect and share stuff and read stuff, and it's terrible, because now we are framing even positive stuff in a bad way. And this is not good, because this is basically rewriting reality, because the present is basically plagued by this way of communicating that is basically rewriting reality. And when you rewrite reality and reframe completely reality in this way, what you do, it's like the Matrix. You convince people that it's like that everything is a loss, everything is a defeat, everything is going bad. And even when there is something good for the industry in this moment, you convince people that it's not good at all. And this is bad in this moment, because this is a great result. And because the thing is that Ryan Coogler with Warner Brothers, he managed to have a final cut, and it's not that common. And he managed to have a deal for the it's called the first gross dollar. So basically he's starting to generate revenue from the ticket sale before the studio, if I remember correctly, plus he's having ownership over the movie. So in general, I'm gonna explain this in a very simple way. In general, what happened is that the studio will have ownership of the movie, but in this case, in 15-20 years time, if I remember correctly, the movie is gonna be owned by Coogler himself. It's not gonna be owned by the studio. And the people were around saying, okay, this is gonna end the studio system forever. But Ryan Coogler said that he decided to have this included in the deal as well, because of the meaning of the movie, and it would be really important to be consistent in his philosophy even in the deal for the movie. And he managed to have all of this, to have this movie marketed correctly, properly, I would say, instead of correctly, because he managed as well to convince Warner Brothers and whoever is managing the communication and the marketing of the movie to push the movie. And that's why we are having as well this result at the box office. And he managed to have all of this in place and have a movie that it's working. What does it mean is that potentially this can start something. So this can convince the industry that original movie and R-rated movie can work, or anyway, original idea can work and make a good box office if you invest in marketing. Because most of the time what happened with original movie is that they don't work as much as they are supposed to, because the market is basically silent. They're not pushing the movie at all. They just invested money in the production, they believe in the movie, but they hope it's going well. When they go to the box office, they don't invest that much in marketing. The only time when they invest in marketing, it's when the release it's pretty close by to the award season, and so they think they can go for the award. Like for example, Anora, they invest an insane amount of money in marketing and basically in the award campaign, but the movie cost like 8 million, 6 million. The movie it's a very low budget movie, but they invested an insane amount of movie in promotion. So in this case, they go lean. But what they used to do they used to market way more every, even original movies, because of course they had the return from the box office, the possible return for the box office, because many people used to go to the theater. Way more people used to go to the theater, but people are still going to the movie theater. And also because even if the movie kind of failed, they had the idea that even in the home video, the next phase, the home video, if the movie was going to become a cult in the home video kind of circuit, they were making money anyways. Even this was explained in an interview about streaming and stuff like that by Matt Damon at Hot Ones. He was a guest at Hot Ones and did explain this as well. So we know how it used to work. We know what was broke in the industry. But the thing is that at the moment, studios are investing in promotion just when they think that the movie is a safe bet. Like movie coming from big IP, film, comic book adaptation, or video game adaptation. Otherwise, they don't invest in marketing the movie. Not that much. They barely invest in it. And that's a big no-no. Because if you don't believe in original story, you create a circle, a vicious circle. Because the studios say, oh, original movie, they don't sell anymore. And they don't sell because people don't go to watch them, but we don't promote them. And so you see where the loop is broken here. You don't promote them. People don't know that the movie are out or that they are good. They don't go to watch them, and then you keep going in circle, because this is what's happening. And they go like, no, we need to promote just movie that we know they're gonna win at the box office. And most of the time they don't work, because 2024 was a really bad movie where basically in 2024 many big budget movie came out and they flopped. They bombed big time, even if they invest in marketing and stuff like that, because it's not a safe bet. There is nothing like a safe bet. If the movie is bad, it's gonna flop. But bad in a really bad way, doesn't resonate with the audience, with the targeted audience, doesn't resonate with the audience in any form or shape, it's gonna bomb. Doesn't matter if you invest in marketing. Okay? So I believe that the problem is that they stop believing in those kind of movie. And Sinners, the result that Sinners is having, can be a turning point. I don't think it's going to be a turning point, because we said the same with Wolverine. And before that, we said the same with Deadpool. Because the studio were not at all convinced that Deadpool was a good project. He had success. They were like, but then there wasn't like a change all of a sudden. No. Came out Logan, and everybody was like, oh my god, it's working. Something changed? Joker came out, it worked. Something changed? A little. It started to change a little bit. But studios are really stubborn, and I think that because they are very, very out of touch, they have no clue what's working with the audience. They have no clue why films are bombing. Because, for example, for Madame Web, we had executive and even people, actors in the industry saying, oh, it's because of the audience of Reddit and whatever. And no, it's because the movie is bad. It's not because of the internet culture. The movie is really bad. Has nothing to do with the internet culture. The movie, oh my god, the writing, the way the movie is set up, it's dreadful. I'm sorry about that. It's not working. And the industry basically took all every possible wrong lessons from Madame Web failing. They were like, oh, it's because it's a female-led cast. No. It's not about that. The movie is bad in every aspect and shape and form. So, but here anyway, I don't think Sinners will convince many producer and studio that it can work. So they need to be more involved artistically in the movie. So is this movie good? We do believe in it. We understand it can work, can resonate with the audience, and then spend money in the marketing to market it and to make it work, to give a fair shot a movie to make it work. So if we manage to have this cycle to take momentum, stuff can probably change. Because as I said, for Minecraft, we can't turn movie theaters in event-only places. So just for Minecraft, just for Avengers, it can't be just for huge tentpole, and not all of them, but if it works. It can't be like that. Movie theater needs to be a place where people go because they think they're gonna watch a good movie, a good story. They are going there and they are going to have a very good story, compelling, fascinating, with great character, that kind of thing. And so they want to go back because next week there's gonna be another movie with another good story, compelling characters, and stuff like that. If you just turn the movie theater into an event machine, and usually those get released just in the summer or close to the holiday, that's not gonna work. That's gonna be pretty bad. But anyway, if the industry, or at least who basically is part of the industry, so magazine, like Variety or The Hollywood Reporter, they also frame those results in this way, it's not gonna work. Because sometimes I don't get it. Sometimes it looks like that part of the industry that is supposed to champion the industry is like of rooting for the industry to collapse. Sometimes I don't know, it's weird. Sometimes I go like, why you want the industry to fail so much? You're gonna be out of job in a couple of years if you continue like this. I don't get it. Sometimes it looks like this. And they do that because they want the immediate result. So the clicks, the comments, and they do that with exploiting, basically rage baiting and framing stuff in a negative way. So this is bad. Also because this week, Sinner, because we are week 2, the earning from the movie just went down 14%. This is the result I'm reading right now, because Sinner has generated 39.1 million internationally in the last week, and this is what Variety is reporting, and 161.6 million worldwide. And then they have to say it against a 90 million production budget. And then they continue. The R-rated movie, horror movie, isn't resonating as strongly at the overseas box office. They can't help it. Though it's still holding steady, with ticket sales down just 14% from last weekend. In North America, Sinners scored a massive 45 million in its second outing, the rare film with a sophomore weekend that nearly matched its debut. So the 14% drop is probably in the worldwide market, but I think it's 6% in North America, something like that, because last week was 48 million just in the US. Now we're gonna read the other thing, because there is a dissonance between what Variety is saying about Sinners and what Variety said in the past about another movie. That was something that a guy online pointed out, and I went to check the actual thing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So Sinners, let's read the introduction of the box office result article shared last week by Ben Stiller. So if you check the article by Variety, they said the film was the bigger in the US and Canada, topping the box office with 48 million. In all, Sinner has amassed 63.5 million in its global debut. Monday's final number was above Sunday's estimate of 45.6 million domestically and 61 million globally. But again, as we said before, It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Bros. Release has a 90 million price tag before global marketing expenses, so profitability remains a ways away. And again, this week they are saying that isn't resonating as strongly as the overseas box office, because they have to say it's something negative. They just can't say it. But overseas, the movie tickets are 14% down. That it's not a huge number, because in other instances with even great IP, there were movies that went down like 30, 40, 50%, even 60% from one week to another. This movie went down just 14%. It's not that huge of a loss. It means that the movie is still working its way through the box office weekends. So, like a user shared on the internet, I think it was on Fred, let's take an article from Variety from the debut weekend of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because the numbers are insane similar, but Variety framing it's very different. In a win for original content, Tarantino's R-rated ode to Hollywood's golden age opened with 41 million from 3,659 North American theaters, a career best for the filmmaker. Ticket sale came in above Sunday estimate, which reported at 40 million debut. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood cost 90 million to produce, making it one of his most expensive films. But it's not saying although. Can you spot the difference? So both of them, they went above 41 million at the box office. To be honest, Sinner earned 48 million. Tarantino's movie, that I love dearly, earned 41 million. Okay? They both cost 90 million to produce without marketing. Why? For Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they started stating in a win for original content. Why? The most expensive movie in Quentin Tarantino's career was framed as a win, but for Ryan Coogler was framed as probably is not gonna make profit at the box office because it cost 90 million to produce plus marketing. What the fuck? So I believe the problem is the one that I discussed before, because framing stuff in a negative way now, even just there is a difference of 5-6 years between the two time frame, brings more readers and share stuff like that. Because when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was released, there was a slightly better situation for the movie experience, because this movie, if I remember correctly, was released before COVID, because we're talking about 2019. It was July 26, 2019. It was before COVID. Sinners, it's a post-COVID movie that he's struggling with many things. There is an industry struggling with many things that came out after COVID, many crises. We are facing so many crises, and original rated R movie in this very moment are very difficult to market and to gain for 2 weeks in a row this kind of result at the box office. So, but anyway, even taking in consideration just the first week, to have a fair comparison between the two framing of the same news, it's kind of odd, because Sinners, it's in a way worse environment that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was in. Plus, Quentin Tarantino, it's a kind of a big director. Everyone is waiting for a new Quentin Tarantino movies. Not everyone is waiting for a new Ryan Coogler movies. So you gotta you gotta take this in consideration in the whole thing, as I said before. The thing here is that, okay, this week they were supposed to say, okay, Sinners cost 90 million to produce. Just taking in consideration how marketing is expensive and how it works, most likely to market Sinners, they spend another 90 million. Most likely. This is a wild guess. So I'm gonna say that they spend in total 200 million to produce and market the movie. Pretty much there. Let's exaggerate and say 200 million. So at the box office, to basically to match what they spent, they gotta earn at least 200 million at the box office. With this second weekend result, they are almost there to this completely hypothetical scenario. So they are almost there, 161 million. Let's suppose that next week the ticket sale at the box office, they drop of half, 50%. So they earn 20 million at the box office. They're going to be there. And probably in another couple of weeks, they're going to generate probably profit. To be honest, if they spend 200 millions for the whole thing, marketing as well, you can start to talk about success when you have a box office of 300 million at least. You can say, okay, it was a decent run in a movie theater. You want to go around 400 million to talk about huge success, most likely, or a good success. I'd like to check those numbers with someone that is in production, but a wild guess. I'm gonna say that you gotta double at least what you spent. Taking in consideration that Coogler is already generating revenue before the studio has back the money. So let's say 400 million to have a great run and say, okay, this worked like hell. This is good. But I will be happy if this movie closes its run at the box office with, I don't know, 350 million, even 300 million. I will be way happy. After a month and a half in a movie theater, mostly, taking in consideration the movie, they don't stay that much in a movie theater. So after a month and a half, to have it at 300 to me sounds like a good margin to start to talk about a movie that worked really well. But we are going very up with the numbers and we are working in an hypothetical scenario. But I think that at the moment, after this second week with a global result of 161.6 million, that's good. I mean, taking in consideration the kind of movie, the situation the theaters are in, I think it's good. We're not supposed to talk bad about it. It resonates a little bit less outside US. Well, yeah, because of course thematically the movie, it's not there with an international audience. We are not sync. But the movie is really good and it's really enjoyable. And it's working. It's resonating with the audience, even if the morality and the everything built around the story, it's not the kind of thing that can resonate 100% like it does in the United States or Canada. It's a win. To me, it sounds like a win. So I believe that we should start a different conversation. And when a movie goes like this, we should be very happy because we frame this in the right way in a more, let's say, a moderate way, in a way. We are not ecstatic, and we are not like try to downgrade the success of the movie. We are just in the middle. This can be beneficial for the industry itself, because then tomorrow a producer can maybe produce a small movie with 10 millions and then decide to spend at least 30 millions to market it, and maybe make a movie that around the globe goes with, I don't know, 200 million box office, because it's a comedy like, I don't know, Sucks Bad or whatever, or a rom-comedy, works really well on Resonate, and even if it's a small movie, goes big. I believe that can be done, but everyone has to be on the same boat, otherwise it's not gonna work. So this is my take on this, and now I'm gonna talk about Sinners and why I like it that much. So let's talk about the movie. So the movie, it's about Sammy. This basically guitar player. He's really young. He's the son of the local preacher, and basically he has a talent for playing the guitar. He loves blues music, and that's what he wants to pursue and what he want to do. And in the movie has an introduction with this idea that basically this legend about those people that when they play guitar, they have this ability to basically summon other people from the past or the future, and basically connect past, future, present, and basically generate this sort of summoning of cultural basically a cultural heritage that they are mixing together, this kind of thing. So Sammy, he's joining his two cousins, both played by Michael B. Jordan. I loved him in this movie. Anyway, those two cousins back from World War One and from Chicago, where they apparently even had deal with Capone and the organized crime, and they're back to the Bayou in their hometown to open a juke joint. Sorry if I don't have a good definition of what a juke joint is, but I'm Italian. Culturally speaking, I'm far away. I've read, of course, books, so movies, so I understand the culture, but it's not like something that we have here as well. But the juke joint is basically, for whoever is listening, it's basically a venue where they play blues, jazz, and stuff like that, and it's for black people. Because in the story, we are basically back in the days, because we are talking about after World War One, and we are talking about an America where there is still slavery. The Jim Crow laws are not spread all around the country, and so we have kind of those still fighting for equality and for a fair treatment of the black community. So this is the scenario of the movie. And while they have the first night opening for the juke joint, a group of vampires basically start to attack this juke joint, and this is where the story starts. So to me, this is the vampire movie of the year. I'm sorry about Nosferatu and Robert Eggers that I admire so much, but I believe that this movie is way more interesting and strong. Because if Nosferatu was visually amazing and thematically I think the movie was there, but in this movie it's way more interesting, because like in any genre movie, the monster, even if you don't care about that level, so you care just about the gore, and it's all there, the gore, the blood, the sucking, and even the sex, because the vampire is always connected to, the idea of biting flesh and sucking blood. It's really connected to sensuality. If you watch any vampire movie except Twilight, that it's wherever. But anyway, every vampire movie has a level of sexuality in it, because it's something that's really connected to this monster. But anyway, we have that side of the monster. We have all of that it's very funny, but at the same time like in every genre movie, we have as well a message. And here, the vampire, it's a monster that start to resonate with the audience about cultural appropriation, appropriation of the body, appropriation of the mind, control of the body and the mind. Because actually, the vampire, if you check basically the legends around the vampire, basically you have this collective kind of conscience from basically a master vampire, and all the people that he infected turn into vampires. So this collective conscience and the idea of freedom, because he's promising freedom, and every person that will get turned into a vampire, they're all promising a family, freedom. And this is not true. We know that. And the movie, it's about this. Freedom, control over body, mind, culture. And it's amazing, because one thing that I love is that Ryan Coogler is really smart in taking the vampire and sweep him away from every kind of religious connection, because it's not a monster connected to Christianity, because since Christianity, it's, let's say, the mainstream religion, we connected the vampire to Christianity as well. So how do you defeat a vampire? With holy water, with a prayer, a cross, stuff like that? No, here a vampire, it's like an entity, a sort of natural entity that goes around the world, that is known in any culture, and it's a threat for any culture, and it's a basic monster. So we defeat it with garlic, we defeat it with a stick of wood in the heart, we defeat him with silver, and of course we have the idea of we have to let him in order so the vampire can't invite himself in a building if the owner is not letting him in. So we have this idea of letting the vampire, the one who is going to take over our mind, our body, and take away from us our freedom, we have to invite him in. It's a great reference. It's a great way to talk about this kind of monster. I believe it's brilliant. And since he basically stripped the vampire from any cultural, not cultural, but religion connection, it's more interesting, and I think it's more powerful. Also because the movie, it's talking about culture, and to give appropriate space to any culture, because at some point we have Native Americans that in movies for ages they were pictured and portrayed as a sort of they were savages. Before Kevin Costner shooting Dancing with Wolves, they were just savages. Okay? But he changed that kind of narrative, and he started a conversation. And here Ryan Coogler is talking about the Native American as a very wise culture. They are vampire hunters. They are very revered. That it's amazing how they get presented. Then they go away from the movie, because that's not the main plot point, because he wants to talk about every player in this story in a different way and bring them together. And one thing that I loved about the movie is that at some point the morality of the movie is telling you that the vampire, as any other culture that is, it wants to close you into a family in a way. It wants to close you in a set of rules, of limitation, promising you freedom, promising you enlightenment, promising you something great. It's actually restraining you from reaching actually your real potential, because you can reach a real potential when you're free to choose your life, what you want to do. You are reaching your potential when you are open to other culture, when you decide what your family is, and instead, when you are a vampire, or when you are a member of something like the clan, you are not actually free. And this is very interesting, and I love the way how the movie talk about this without making huge speeches, Because one of the bad things about movies today is that sometimes you need to have those annoying exposition dialogue that you go like, oh my good god. Instead, this movie is not obnoxious in that way. It's a visual story, and it's amazing. It's a movie about it's a movie. It's a proper movie, because movies, television, it's visual storytelling. So you gotta it talks on two levels, with the framing, the shots, the way the mise-en-scène of the whole thing, but it talks about with dialogue. But the dialogue, they don't have to be direct. The good dialogue, the very good dialogues are not very direct and telling you with exposition and stuff like that what's going on and the intention of the characters. They have to be subtle. You have a level, what you see, and the dialogue, they hide behind something else, and that's when the dialogue are very interesting. And this is how the movie works. And then moving forward with the movie, what is really powerful is that it uses music. This idea of musician, that they have this ability to bring basically in our reality and connect different culture and moments and people from the past and the future. It's amazing, because music, it's really important for our culture. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not precise, if I'm not correct with some aspect of the blues music, because it's something that I watch from afar. I was lucky enough, because when I was a kid, I had a friend who then became, even in real life, the professional guitar player, guitarist. And he was studying jazz, he was studying blues, and he was feeding me those stuff as well, because he was really into it. He was really excited. And I have a really small culture about jazz music here and there. I listen to a little bit of jazz, Miles Davis, Coltrane, and then since I love a couple of author like Woody Allen and stuff like that, for example, Collateral, I love that movie. They talk about jazz and blues a lot, and I managed to listen a little bit of Charlie Parker and even blues. I don't remember sorry about that, the many great artists in blues. I don't know them, but I've listened a couple of stuff, so I have a little bit of background. But anyway, I love how blues, that it's a kind of music, connect to spirituals, means work song, and ballads from the African American culture, or the black culture. Sorry, what is the best way to say it? But anyway, blues, it's really important to define those characters, and the main character, Sammy. And when he plays, there is a magnificent one shot. It's a fake one shot, but anyway, oh my god, the DOP, she's amazing in this movie. I'm watching the behind the scene, she's amazing. Anyway, she managed to shoot this one shot in the movie where we basically see Sammy's power coming to life, and it's so fantastic, because what it's telling us is that we have blues, okay, the original blues, let's say the roots of this kind of music, but we have, at some point, they start to blend together visually and with the music, with other culture, from music in the past. And music, it's a way that humanity always used to communicate. Like now we use movies, we use video games, we use many other languages, but music, it's very, I don't know, it has roots in our ancestral, you can say. Anyway, our ancestor, they use music, they use what they have to communicate, to speak, to talk. And it's amazing how Sammy's music start to bond with past culture, future culture, and even musically the movie starts to have an harmony visually and musically, and it's amazing. That scene, it's fantastic how he's communicating. And at some point, even the folk music like Rocky Road to Dublin steps into the scene, and we have another moment where music is very central in, and it's amazing, because culture, it's freedom. Culture, it's who we are going to be. And the movie, it's all about that. It's about identity. And music, it's identity. Our culture, it's shaped through music, through writing, through singing and movies, and all of that. It's coming from something that it's our identity, who we are, where we come from. And we can stick to that, but we can as well evolve that. And it's what I like is that any character in this movie has to take a choice. Sammy, particularly, he needs to take a choice in his life, and what he has to do. Will he stick with his father? So he's gonna be a preacher boy. If I remember correctly, they call him preacher boy because he's the son of the preacher. So he's gonna be a preacher boy forever and play music in his father's church, and that's it. Or he's going to pursue a life where he's gonna follow who he is, his identity, and pursue blues and playing guitar. And doesn't matter how scary can that be, how difficult that can be, but he's gonna do that. He's gonna turn into a vampire. He's gonna join this family and surrender himself. What is he going to do? He's going to choose actual freedom and explore cultural heritage and explore new culture, or is going to stick with a path that was already built by someone else and basically stay in a closed circle? What it's going to be his choice. And the movie, it's really interesting on this because it's talking about life and identity, and I loved it. I believe Ryan Coogler built an amazing movie. I think it's fantastic. And in a way, I was Tarantino's coming back again, because you cannot avoid to think about From Dusk Till Dawn by Quentin Tarantino, then shot by Robert Rodriguez, because in a way it's kind of similar. Because even if from the beginning you have an idea that they are going to be vampires or that similar monsters, but anyway, if you know it's a genre film, the first part of the movie, I knew nothing about the movie. I'm gonna be honest. I went to the movie theater. That is what I like the most. I go to the movie theaters blind whenever I can. But so I knew nothing about the movie, and the first part of the movie, you know that there's going to be some sort of monster, there's going to be blood and whatever, and you know, or at least you think you know where the story is going, and so you have a kind of movie that at some point is going to take a direction. That direction is going to be interesting, vibrant, and surprising. And the thing that I loved the most was the last act, because as I said, you think you know where the movie is going, but actually there is that extra bit, that extra mile that moves the movie a little bit forward and brings the morality, the messages, the idea between culture and jazz and blues, a little bit a step further about identity, because Sammy Journey, it's way more interesting than a genre movie with vampires and a lot of fun, and that's it. There is a different focus, and I loved it. I believe this movie is fantastic, and I think it's one of the greatest movie of the year, 100%. And my only regret is that, unfortunately, here where I live at the moment in Italy, I couldn't find a movie theater that was projecting the movie as intended. So I'm really sorry about that. I would have loved to watch the movie as intended by Ryan Coogler. That's a big sad thing. That's the worst part of the experience. I watched it on a good screen, but it wasn't like as intended, I believe. But anyway, I loved it, absolutely. And once again, go watch the movie if you haven't. please do, because it's a very, very funny movie. Even if you don't care about the cultural aspect for whatever reason, the movie is it's a great genre movie. I like the way they portray the vampire. I like the gore part because it's bloody, it's messy, and I love the character. I think Michael B. Jordan is fantastic in the movie. I believe the Hailey Steinfeld. Sorry, I don't remember the pronunciation of her name. I apologize. She's very good in it. I believe that the actor playing Sammy, he is very good in it. I love the whole thing, and I hope I'm going to see more movie like this by Ryan Coogler, because I think he has a fantastic talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing way more. So, what do you think about Sinners? Do you like it? You enjoy it? Let me know in the comment here on Instagram. And Instagram, what am I talking about? Spotify here. Let me know. Sorry, guys, I can't. It's a very challenging moment. But anyway, let me know if you liked. Share the episode if you like the podcast, and I don't know. See you in the movie theater. Bye bye.